morning, good afternoon and good evening to everyone wherever may be tuning in from around the globe. We're here live again at the 2026 ARA Show Content Creator Hub in Orlando, and this is a very special update episode with someone with exciting news having come out this week with the new venture out of a man who needs no introduction. As I stated in our episode last year in Las Vegas, one of the most well-known and most connected individuals in the global equipment rental industry, one of the world's equipment rental in New York City masterclass. And when the words New York City are mentioned, the name Durante almost always follows, cementing a legendary status within the equipment rental community and truly encapsulates what it means to live the equipment rental lifestyle. Founder and man behind Durante Rentals, for many years the American Rental Association's Region 1 Director with over 30 years of equipment rental experience, an Inc. 5000 Hall of Fame inductee, the King of Queens of 2015, a market mover, innovator, data junkie, and mutually regarded legend of the equipment rental industry, and most importantly, a great friend. Anthony, welcome back.
Thank you, Mike. After that, we got about 3 minutes left. Thank you very much. Great to be here again. Looking forward to the update.
I'm really thankful as well, Anthony, for you taking me on this journey with you, having some 5 a.m. phone calls, battling the New York City time zones and on calls together from the initial concepts, early stages, and getting a behind the scenes look at the infancy of your new product in the hour to what it's now become. And last time we spoke in 2025 in Vegas, you'd only just launched your new venture with the hour built around these advanced dashboards, predictive analytics, and really helping rental operators see their business from 20 feet away, as you described. To now, 1 year later, major news, with an incredible announcement with yourself and John partnering with the acquisition with Point of Rental Software into their ecosystem. I'd love to hear about your excitement. Obviously, you're feeling very proud, and what's the journey ahead?
Do you want me to just go on for 30 minutes or should I pause for some questions? Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I went on a hiatus for about 4 years with old podcasts, and then, I came out, and I've always enjoyed our friendship. I love your program. And, I said, I'm going to announce what I'm doing next, and that was last year, if anybody heard it. It's exciting because it's been a year, and, there's been a couple of podcasts in between, but the one thing is I've always had a talk in a cloak of mystery. Our approach, my partner and I, excuse me, my partner John Feliciano and I, we knew that we were going to be last in terms of, resources and programmers and everything else. So our concepts are so out of the box that we didn't really want to show them or even talk about them because people can basically listen or see and then replicate. And now, even though it's our idea, if they're larger, we're now chasing them and we're the imitators. So we've really kept it very under wraps, but I'm excited to basically spread the wings of the owl and open up and tell you a little bit more about what we do and why it's different, and why a merger with an acquisition to Point of Rental makes sense in the global equipment rental software market.
Point of Rental called this a strategic investment in deep rental industry knowledge and leadership. They're investing in the hour and into rental intelligence suite, bringing your predictive dashboards into the industry's largest ecosystem that's around. Anthony, first question. When you founded the OWL with John, did you guys envision this kind of scale happening so quickly, or did this opportunity present itself and really surprise you?
It was after the rental show 2 years ago. I started Durante Rentals. I knew that we were negotiating with Herc, which we sold to in June. I woke up, there was a cloud, a bubble, it poofed, and the whole entire thing was downloaded into my mind. And my brother Steve Durante was in the other room, and I walked in and I saw him and I said, Steve, I'm going to change the way data is done in this industry. It's underserved. I always knew that. Some industry who's who have seen my stuff behind the scenes over the years, but I realized that if you put it out there and there's a niche, right? There's a void. And if you put it out there and you take that position and you believe in it and you work hard and you really have that talent and it really is different, I knew there was nothing that was going to stop us. And part of the plan was, always to me, it was, working with Point of Rental, specifically when I retired, when I sold Durante. So I've always had that for 10 years or so, but a couple of years where the view is downloaded and everything is coming into place. Some of it by design, manifestation, and a lot of it is really just pure coincidence. There's a lot of magic happening. There's people I run into and there's weird things that are happening at the show. People are popping up as they're being mentioned, and that's all part of the OWL. That's all part of the mystique. And I promised you last year, and I'm going to say it now, we are starting a data revolution. We are taking that position. What we are about to do is going to be unlike anything on the market. We are going to be completely untouchable. And for anybody out there that wants to see, what we do, please just reach out. I'd love to have the conversation. Even if you don't want to adopt what we're doing, you could always learn something just from the conversation. We are completely out of the box. It is done from, I'm able to scrub, visualize, 34 years experience. I've excelled at every position in the organization. The boards I make are balanced for worker, manager, CFO gets a little check-in box on it, everything on one page. I'm going to take a pause so you could probably ask another question.
Going back to that comment of a data revolution, you said to me last year that dashboards don't replace people, they measure and support them, was your key insight. You're now moving from helping individual independents to influencing thousands of businesses globally through a major software platform. How does this shift feel emotionally to you and from a strategy point of view going forward? You must be extremely excited.
I'm on cloud 9. And in my career, I've had about 7 things I would say that I've done that completely revolutionized something, whether it was on a local market or national or whatever it may be, including like the success of Durante. And I get these visions and they lock in. And when I swing really hard. And this is all of them combined all into one. And the fact that everything comes into place, and I've got all these strange signs, all my guardian angels up in heaven are giving me everything to know that I'm right exactly where I need to be. To answer your first point, you had mentioned about moving people through dashboards, and I've really been able to think about that over the past year. And what I find is that a good dashboard will probably, and I think we touched on this, but a good dashboard is going to eliminate half of your problems. Give an example, right? If a rep is out on the road and he's getting in trouble because he hasn't visited an account in 6 months, if the business doesn't have reporting that's triggering him to know that he has to visit them, that's not necessarily always on the rep. Yes, the rep should know and own his book of business, but an owner really should have the reporting and the infrastructure and the technology to give them the tools to carry out their task. So I believe that if we could eliminate half the problems with a really great dashboard, then the other half of their time that they saved, they can put that into better sales leadership, right? They can put the time elsewhere. And what's going to happen too is when half the people are moving, we said this last year, about the other half, a quarter of them you're going to train up, you're going to match it, and the other quarter just might not get it, and they're exposed.
We said that you've taken a big swing, and I'd say that you've probably hit a home run, because Wayne Harris, CEO of Point of Rentals, said that this acquisition is about bringing together this industry knowledge into the heart of their innovation strategy. That's pretty powerful. So I also want to say is, what does this mean to you? Is this not just about technology, it's about your operational excellence and this experience of the accumulation of 30 years in rental that's really bringing the highest value to Point of Rental customers?
It's about a data revolution. What was the first point you said? Because I had a comment on that. How did you start that question out, please?
Really bringing your industry knowledge into the heart of Point of Rental's innovation strategy going forward.
You used the baseball analogy, which I love, because you know how much I love baseball, and I always bring my stats back to baseball. When this came down really quick, hot and heavy, it made sense with Point of Rental. I thought it was, kind of a home run, maybe even a walk-off grand slam. That's what I felt like. This is everything that's in my mind, and it's coming to fruition. And I realized, we're at pitch 1. That's it. We were in spring training for the past year. We had 6 clients. The Owl, right, has been completely under wraps. My partner and I built this with Mystique. We've had no website, no logo. I made up business cards just yesterday. We've had 6 clients. There's only been about 75 people, the who's who of the industry, that have really seen this product. And I'm really glad to get it out now, because we're going to blow the doors off this thing.
Last year when we spoke, you said something that really struck me, and you said, and I'll quote what you said, "If I don't see a company through the optics I'm used to seeing, I can't tell them what's going wrong with it." And that your dashboards allow someone to stand 20 feet away from their business and instantly see the trends of what's happening day to day without knowing a name, without knowing a number, just seeing what's actually happening in real time. Now that the Owl's been integrated into Point of Rental's ecosystem, how will this change the way rental owners experience their day-to-day?
I'm sorry, repeat that last part again.
How rental owners will experience their day-to-day with the integration of the Owl into Point of Rental?
That's a great question. So I think what some of the softwares are doing, including Point of Rental, and they're really cutting edge on it, is they're removing a lot of the day-to-day tasks that takes a few minutes and possibly emails and texts and hitting various buttons, and they've reduced that into a few seconds through AI, but there's still no strategic drive that's being done. You mentioned all the wonderful things about our dashboards. The one thing that you forgot, if you remember, is that not only do you start to see what you need to know and all this great stuff, you could also start to tell the personality sometimes, especially with sales. You could actually start to tell the personality of the person or the people. You could possibly even tell their experience strictly by doing that. So what we do is really, I believe that we're going to take the industry, people that, let's say, don't know how to make their inside team accountable, or they don't really know how to set up a commission plan. Even though dashboarding traditionally doesn't make those decisions, I believe that we can make a series of dashboards that act as a step. Think of it as like a first gear, right? Typically now, like, let's say a Rouse. You're either all in and you're all out. You're either ready for it or you're not. I think that there's a way that with our boards, we can make a first gear that'll get you onto an entry level and a second gear. And as you go through those shifts, it's kind of how I would elevate my team. It's how I would elevate, let's say if I walked into a company and they had no reporting, I would set up a certain dashboard day one, and by month 6, that one's out the window and there's another one. And by a year, that's out the window, there's another one. So we can keep those in our ecosystem, and basically, taking those dashboards will also drive the AI logic for point of rental. So if somebody wants to know something and they don't want to look at a dashboard, you could technically ask the AI, and it's going back to a real logical source, a real infrastructure system, a scaffold, so to speak, as opposed to AI that you ask it 10 things and it gives you a perfect answer, and you go, that's wrong, and it says, yes, you're right. Meanwhile, it was right, but it doesn't know. So I keep hearing the term hallucination going around. We remove that hallucination. We give a concrete system and a logical pecking order that everything can work off of.
I think it's a key insight too, like you just said. Don't try and run before you walk. Take digestible steps, because as a rental business, we're all very used to biting off more than we can chew and chewing like hell. But with big changes like that, like you're saying, having a first gear, at least you can get yourself into the motions and solidify long-term success that we need.
Yep, that's why we had 6 clients for the past year and a half.
Anthony, in our original episode, you talked about how we've gone an evolution in rental from the Wild West of the 1990s to today's data-driven national landscape. Now joining forces with a major technology player with amazing resources, support, and infrastructure for you to be great. How do you see this is going to enhance your vision?
What exactly is enhancing my vision? The owl?
Joining point of rental.
Oh, I mean, now we have global reach. I think I mentioned the last one, but I've always been a data person. I wanted to write the stats that were going to change baseball, but Bill James beat me to it, and I followed him since I'm 7. I met my wife back in 2012. She said, do you want to have the biggest rental company? I said, that's United Rentals. She said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to write the data that's going to change the world, and I believe that we're going to do that.
For sure.
You heard that here first. Data revolution is underway.
Anthony, I'd say one thing's so clear, that you don't build for headlines, you build for impact. From New York job sites in the 90s to dashboards in 2025 to now going on with John to influencing global rental software in 2026, you've consistently bridged the gap between your vision to what rental needs. So for our final question, if there is rental owners that are watching that feel overwhelmed by technology, what's your message to them and how they can actually take a step?
So the 2 biggest things, number 1, we got your back. Number 2, the system that we're going to build is going to be agnostic. It's not necessarily that you have to be on point of rental. It's going to be for anybody. And what I love about the product and the ability with point of rental, with the massive programmers behind them, their cutting edge marketing, is that we can now build boards that are not just one board and think it's right for the industry, and then go and shop it and ask people, like, what do you think about this? Like, is this something that you can use? I understand the difference, especially we had a $1 million a year rental revenue client, a 3, a 5, a 10, a 20 million, 100. We've made concepts that fit for all of them, but at the end of the day, we know how to pivot for each one. So I don't think that anybody gets left in the dust. I think that we can, as I said, we can do those gears, and we can help lead and teach people how to start doing budgeting and strategic decisions, all based on dashboarding and reporting.
Amazing. Anthony Durante, congratulations on
Thanks,
this incredible
buddy.
Next chapter. I'm excited to see how the Ours DNA shapes the future of rental intelligence worldwide. Thank you for joining me again. Thank you to the ARA, Lauren, for sneaking us in for another episode. as well. Mate, until next time, keep building, keep innovating, keep moving our industry forwards, and I appreciate you.
The revolution is underway. Thank you for having me, Mike. It's been a great update. Appreciate you.